Alright, so for formal commands, basically a lot easier than informal commands. Another name for it could be Usted commands or Ustedes commands because you are using the formal version of the command versus the informal version. So, basically, as we've already talked about, these are not conjugations. These are simply telling somebody or asking somebody to do something. If you notice in the way that you see commands, it should be obvious to you that nobody's actually doing it. There's no subject. There's nothing to make it agree with. You just have to tell somebody, use the form of the verb to tell somebody to speak Spanish, etc. So to form it, it's fairly easy. All you have to do is go to the yo form of the verb in the present tense. Get in the habit of doing that for every single verb that we do, and then you'll always catch any stem change that we might have, or anything that you'll need, anything that's irregular or different in the yo form in the present tense. You're going to use that same stem for the formal command version of the verb. Why are we dropping the O off of it? Right, no one's doing it. You're not doing a conjugation. You're taking off the O, which is a conjugation, but you're keeping the stem. Once you have the stem, and if it's an AR verb, you're going to add an E to tell one person to do something, and then add EN, or just add an N to the singular version to tell a whole bunch of people to do something. For ER, IR verbs, then you change it to A for telling one person, or change it to AN for telling multiple people to do whatever the verb is that you're going to tell them to do. So, for example, the verb gastar is the verb to spend. If I want to tell somebody to spend money, then it's an AR verb. So I'm going to go to the yo form. In this case, gasto for the yo form, we're going to take away the O, take away the conjugation. Since it's an AR verb, we're going to add an E for telling one person to do it, and then we're going to add an N to the singular form, or add EN to tell a whole bunch of people to do it. So with your questions, and it'll be similar to what we're doing today, we will have to make sure that we know if we're telling one person or plural people by our directions, or from having the usted or ustedes with the command. So if you tell people gasten dinero, you're telling them to spend money. If you want to tell them not to spend money, what would change? Just put a no in front of the command. Okay. There's an example of salir. Salir has a go change in the yo form, so you're going to keep that same change for the command. Salga for the singular form, telling one person. Salgan for telling a bunch of people to go out or leave. And then traer, remember, has a weird I on it, and it only has that weird I for the yo form. And so that same beginning stem is what you'll have to change for the command form as well. Always double check that you look back at your original verb, that traer is an ER verb, and so that your ending for the command is going to have the opposite ending of what would look like a conjugation for ER verbs for the third person singular or el usted form. So, traiga and traigan. And remember to always go to the yo form so that you catch any of those things that may change. Verb impedir is not a verb that we've really talked about, so it's not one that I would give you on a quiz or on a test. But traer, we have talked about Spanish 1, and we've reviewed in Spanish 2. Venir, same thing. So, venir, a go change. So you need that go change stem for your usted and ustedes commands. And then traer is not just a go change, but has that extra I in there. Okay. What happens with cargar verbs? Do they change in the present tense? Nope. They change in the preterite. Now, technically, you can still go to the present tense, yo form of the verbs, but remember that for cargar verbs, we're going to need those special endings. For CAR verbs, it's going to be QUE, GAR verbs, GUE, and ZAR verbs, CE. But notice that jugar and almorzar, have a change from the present tense, which is a stem change, the UE change for juego and almuerzo. But then they also have the cargazar change, GUE and CE. And it would tell you, again, in the directions if it's singular command telling one person or plural telling a bunch of people. So just make sure that basically you're going to the present and preterite, making both changes if you need to. So if you see over here on the right-hand side, comenzar and empezar are both to begin or start, same meaning, and they both have an IE change in the present tense, and they both have a CE change for it being a zar verb, a verb that ends in ZAR. So if it makes two changes, then you go ahead and make both to make the command form. So if I tell somebody lea, what am I telling them? Read. If I tell a bunch of people vuelvan, I'm telling them to come back. And so if I'm telling a baby duerma, go to sleep. Cerrar is the verb to close. So if you tell one person to close something, cierre. If you tell a bunch of people, cierren. Entender, to understand. And pedir is to ask for. So if you're telling one person, pida. If you're telling multiple people, pidan. But it has nothing to do with what you're asking for, so you're not making it agree with anything. This only goes over 4 of our irregulars. Dar being one of them. Remember that is the weird one that has an accent only on the singular command form, not on the plural command form. If we take away that accent, what would it look like? Of or from. So we need an accent on the singular form for the verb to go, to tell somebody to go, vaya, tell a bunch of people, vayan. Sea and sean is the ser, to be, and the 5th one that they're missing is the other to be, which is the estar verb. So both of them mean to be, but the sea or sean would be to be something to do with ser. So characteristic, occupation, if you tell somebody be a doctor, then you're going to use the ser verb. If you tell somebody to be somewhere, which would be a location, then that would be the estar. Both of estar versions have accents, so make sure that you put those clearly there. These are the only 3 accents to worry about for formal commands. The de, singular form, and both the estar forms. You need to put accents on the formal command versions of the verb. Please be careful not to confuse sea and sepa, and sean and sepan. One letter changes the whole entire verb, the whole entire command, whole entire meaning. Hablar, give me the singular and plural command. Hable and hablen, good. Comer, coma and coman, good. Tener, good, because it has a G change on it. Tenga and tengan. Said is irregular, so it doesn't go to the yo form in the present tense. You just have to remember to tell one person to be something to do with characteristic, occupation, origin, etc. Well, what are the irregular forms of to be, this to be, the ser to be? Not see and Sean, but sea and sean. That is also irregular. Going to the yo form doesn't help you because doi doesn't give you any clue. You just have to remember that that is the one with the accent only on the singular form, which is de and then. It is also irregular. So to tell one person to go, you would say vaya, and to tell a bunch of people, you say vayan. And lastly, traer is the verb to bring. If you tell one person to bring something, traiga. If you tell plural people, traigan. If you want to make something negative, just put a no in front of the command to tell them not to do something. And don't forget about all your stem changers. Not only do we have boot verbs, we have some shoe ones that we only have to worry about the yo form for any of them. So your go verbs, the pongo, tengo, vengo, traigo, all of those, you have to remember the irregular yo form to then use the same stem for the formal command version of the verb. Your katakana verbs, you go to the yo form in the preterite. Make sure you do not keep that accent. If you do, it means that I did whatever that verb is. If you take away the accent, then it becomes the command form. So two different uses of the verb there. And your 5 irregulars that don't go to the yo form, you just have to memorize what those are. And there's more practice on your Edmodo for this, and there's also more practice on the Voces website that we can practice as well.